So according to Royal Caribbean, the Utopia of the Seas is a weekend of all hits and no skips, with a whole bunch of first-time evers. And then, with the nod to Lord of the Rings, it's the one weekend to rule them all. It's the world's biggest weekend. And I thought, just a weekend? Welcome to This is the Cruise. I'm Clint, and this is the channel where we look at upcoming cruise itineraries and try to find out if this is the cruise for you. Today, we're looking at Utopia of the Seas itineraries, and this brand new ship set sail in July of 2024. And true to the commercial, the itineraries are really short. They are basically weekend itineraries. This is unlike Icon of the Seas, which just set sail here at the beginning of 2024 and is doing exclusively 7-day itineraries. I'll link to the video of itinerary reviews here in a card somewhere up above. Look for that. But in this video, I want to find out if any of us can say, this is the cruise for me on Utopia of the Seas. Actually, the itineraries are pretty simple to break down. There are only 3 variations. We'll start here with the first one called Perfect Day Getaway Cruise. It leaves from Port Canaveral. You spend a day at sea, have a perfect day on CocoCay, and then sail back that evening, so we arrive the next morning back in Port Canaveral. And there are 2 sailings for this itinerary, November 15th of 2024 and December 20th of 2024, basically making it a holiday cruise. I don't know if they're going to do anything special during the holiday season where they decorate the ship for the holidays, like some other cruise lines do, but it would potentially make a really nice weekend getaway. And if you haven't watched my Disney Very Merry Time holiday itinerary reviews, that's a tough one to say. I look at the cruises Disney takes out of Port Canaveral at the same time as this one, and I can tell you that they are significantly more expensive for about the same type of itinerary, which is really interesting. So let's quick take a look at Clint's cruisability score for this itinerary. We have 3 nights. We are going to 2 countries. So 2 countries gives us our base score for variety, but it's 1 sea day to 1 port ratio, which means I have to knock half a point off because we just don't have enough ports to make up for that sea day. That gets us a variety score of 1.5. We have a repeatability score of 10, an adventure score of 6, enrichment of only 2. There's just not that much enrichment activity on CocoCay, but a relaxation score of 6. I'm giving this brand new ship a score of 4.75. I base all of my ship scores off of Cruise Critic. This is brand new, it hasn't sailed yet, but based on how great Royal Caribbean ships are, I'm giving it 4.75, which might be a little bit generous to start. However, it's going to be fantastic. This gives us a total score of 30.25. For a 3-day itinerary, I think we could probably do a little bit better, to be honest. But the prices coming in at around $550 to $650 for a balcony per person. And compare that to Disney prices for the same basic type of itinerary for an interesting perspective. Okay, so how could we make this itinerary even better? Well, Royal Caribbean has the Bahamas and Perfect Day cruise. This is a 3-night cruise. It leaves from Port Canaveral, and that evening cruises to Nassau, Bahamas. So you wake up and you're in the Bahamas. You're already in the Bahamas. You don't have a day at sea. You can get off the ship if you want. You can go exploring the Bahamas and you can get in the water. There's a lot to do in Nassau, which is great. Then you cruise to CocoCay, again, where you're going to have a perfect day at CocoCay. And then from there, you come back on the ship, and the next morning you wake up back in Port Canaveral. You'll notice the only difference here is that they've replaced the sea day with a stop in Nassau. I really like this. There are 38 sailings of this itinerary, so you have a lot of options, and the prices range for an interior room for between about $500 to $750 per person. My tip here would be to not get off the ship in the Bahamas. When it's a sea day, like the last itinerary, everybody has to stay on the ship. So everyone is trying to do all of the things that are on the ship. Now, it's a big ship, there's a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of people on the ship at the same time. But you get spread out and you just find the activities that you want to do. However, a bunch of people are going to get off the ship in Nassau. You kind of have the ship to yourself. Obviously, people are going to stay on the ship with you, but that's okay. You'll have a good number of people that have left for the day, which is fantastic. So you have the choice, which is what I like about this itinerary. We have 2 countries again, but because there are no sea days, we have a variety score of 2, we have a repeatability score of 16, an adventure score of 9, an enrichment score of 4, and a relaxation score of 8, with a ship score again of 4.75, for a total score of 43.75. Okay, that's our second itinerary. We have 1 more to go. This one, they're really not shaking it up much at all. This is a 4-night Bahamas and Perfect Day cruise. So what's the difference between the Bahamas and Perfect Day cruise and the 4-night Bahamas and Perfect Day cruise? Well, 4 nights. We leave from Port Canaveral and we make it over to Nassau. We spend the day in Nassau, then we have a day at sea. We make our way to CocoCay, and then we have our perfect day at CocoCay, and then we get up the next day and we're home back in Port Canaveral. So all they did was insert a sea day between Nassau and CocoCay. They don't need to do that. Obviously, the islands are close enough where they could just go from one to the other, but they just kind of cruise around to let you have an extra day of vacation, which doesn't get us anything for our score from an itinerary score. So Clint's cruisability score here, again, is exactly like the one we just looked at 43.75, because it's a 2-to-1 port to sea day ratio. There's no deduction in score there, so it maintains at 43.75. There are 41 sailings of this itinerary, but they're a little bit more expensive at $650 to $1,000 or more per person for an interior room. And that's really, you see that big bump around the holidays, which is why I would consider the 3-day itineraries for my holiday cruises versus this 4-day cruise, just because if you're bringing the whole family, it's significantly less just by having that one less day that's just on the ship. And like I said, you can spend Nassau on the ship. Okay, so this is the cruise. Which one would I pick if I were going on these? Well, I would cruise off season on that 4-night, even though I just said consider the 3-day, because I would like to spend that extra time on the ship. Even though it's going to be with the crowds and all the people, we leave from Port Canaveral, we get to Nassau. What am I doing? I'm staying on the ship. I'm not getting off. I'm going to do the things that are open on the ship and kind of explore it without 100% of the crowd. I will find the things that I want to do the next day, sort of get a lay of the land, and prep for the sea day. Then I'm going to spend that day when we're just at sea, slowly making our way over to CocoCay, enjoying myself, not stressing, just relaxing. I don't have to worry. If I don't get into the show that I thought I wanted to get into, or if I don't get to do the ride, or the restaurant's sold out, it's okay. I'm on vacation. So my tip, don't get off the ship in Nassau, stay on. Enjoy your day at sea. You've already prepped for it. You can relax and have a great time, or you can go swimming and do the water slides and do all the fun things. My other recommendation is do plan ahead, be flexible, and relax. Pre-book whatever you can, and then just don't stress over anything else. You're on vacation, have fun with it, and enjoy. If you have a cruise booked on Utopia of the Seas, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're looking forward to most. And if you haven't checked out my Icon of the Seas itinerary review, check that out next. We'll see you next time.